So, phcou, you also said in your message that the Greeks didn't have a word for language. They just talked about discourse. Um, but I wonder if that's necessarily the case. I mean, what about logos, the word, the ordering principle of nature? Which, see, they make that's the identity there between thought and being. The assumption is made that human speech somehow um, contains within it the secret of the universe. That if you wanted to know the truth, if you wanted to know the good, you would need to speak it. So, maybe that's an assumption we don't want to make. But then again, if language does have this kind of a primordial root, if it is the flower of being, or the flower of the mouth, um, if it organically rises from nature itself, and there isn't this gap between our speech and the world, then we wouldn't want to disagree with this notion uh, of the logos, of the speakable order of nature. But see, what the logos doesn't give us is power over nature. This is what the logos allowed us to escape. I mean, when we were still thinking in terms of a magic and extremely mythical way, we thought that the prayers that we say or the spells that we cast actually affected the physical world. Um, we were somehow living in too childish a universe, and so recognizing that it is the meaning which you speak into existence and share with your community that gives the universe its meaning, because you are the universe. The Greeks were fully aware of the mystery of being, um, but this principle of the logos is what first allows them to rise up out of it, and then all of a sudden you get um, Plato and Socrates and um, these thinkers that began to take every possible rational line of thought to its final conclusion and end up only in paradox. Plato wrote and created a lot of the same philosophical um, problems and dilemmas that we're still dealing with today. And he tried to find solutions to these problems, but then ended up refuting his own solutions. So he pretty much showed that the philosophical pursuit of a final speakable order is impossible. But he didn't think, though, that this meant that there wasn't a truth that could be experienced. He did think that there was an eternal plane. He just really separated, or at least he's been interpreted as separating the visible world of becoming, the phenomenal cosmos, from the eternal realm of perfect ideas and pure form. Now, as I said in my last video, we don't necessarily have to separate these two. We can recognize uh, that the beings we experience within being are sort of the microcosm of being, and we should treat each individual free and autonomous organism, whether human or not, as important and as worthy of respect as the whole universe. So, Kant had an ethics of duty, I think, because of this intuition that, there shouldn't be some utilitarian reason that you behave compassionately among others and to others. You should do it because you are of one family, because you feel like, there's no question to be asked about if you should help another person or not, or if you should, love your neighbor and so forth. Of course, this creates, for Kant to say this means that he was definitely someone with a strong inner conviction. So it requires a lot of people, and it can end up driving many insane to take this much responsibility for their behavior. But, that was Kant. So I guess I'll leave it there and wait for your response. But thanks for your messages. I definitely enjoyed reading them.